I don't know about that one. Who said that?
God.
Anything else?
Alexa. Hey Breezy, just let you know, if you want, when you want to chime in, just unmute yourself because we won't be checking chat for this one. Okay.
Okay, I got it.
Right, so those are all good answers, and there's no wrong or right answers. But for me, I personally think one of the main reasons why we use a script, I double click this. Or space bar or something. Okay, there we go. What do you have to press? Space bar. Okay. All right. For me, one of the main reasons why I think we need to use scripts is to ultimately inspire somebody to say yes to you. Whether that's yes, you can come over and take a look at my house. Yes, you can list my house. Yes, you can. I'll use you as a buyer's agent. Just you need to inspire somebody just to say yes. And I think that's the main purpose of a script, and also exactly what you guys said as well. All right, so most real estate agents out there have scripts, and I'm not exactly sure if this stat is true. Somebody told me there's about 2,000 real estate agents just in our general area. That's a lot of real estate agents competing for the same clients that we're trying to compete with. And I can almost guarantee you they all use techniques such as scripts. So almost everybody should have one if they want to compete in the industry. But the key here is for you to stand out and be different with your script, something that catches their eye. You know, if I go stand out on the curb, I see like 100 cars passing by. Nothing's really going to catch my eye if I'm not looking for anything. But when Katie passes by with her Mercedes, whoa, that catches my eye. I'm like, oh, look at that car. So that's what you want out of your script, something that catches their eye that's different from everybody else. And oh, can you go back one slide? And the way you're going to do that is to do various things. And here's some points right here that can make you stand out. One, it definitely is just to practice. There's various ways to do that, just by yourself, with a partner. Me and Katie have role played before. I've called people up that are friends from other real estate brokerages and this brokerage, and we've practiced on the phone before. Seek out resources. There's so many different resources that I get script ideas from. YouTube, through Bold, through any kind of Keller Williams class, through your own peers. Ignite
has a whole toolkit with all the various scripts.
Yeah. Or just from seasoned agents. You know, you might have got rejected when you're trying to prospect, and you want to ask like, hey, what do you say for this type of objection? And they might have some good feedback for you. And even though I've been doing this for, I just started my 5th year. Jeez. I still learn a lot just from trial and error, just new ideas that I get from other people. So you want to just keep on working on your scripts throughout your whole time as a real estate agent, because new ideas come up, new things come up, things change in the market that might entice you to say something else rather than what you used to say. And you got to still stand out, be that shiny script out there to ultimately inspire someone to say yes to you and not those other 2,000 real estate agents that exist out there. Now, one thing that I really try to incorporate when I'm talking about scripts or objection statements is to use a tie down. I think this is very key when you're talking to any potential client out there. And what a tie down says, like this says, or what it is, like this says, it's a simple short question that is tagged onto a statement designed to cause a response. Sometimes when I'm prospecting, one of the last things that I don't want to happen is for me to talk and then stop, and it's just silence. Such an awkward pause. So I always try to use a tie down statement. So for example, you do want to get top dollar for your property, right? Or correct, or isn't that so? Any kind of tie down is going to do a couple things. It's going to entice the other person to just have a conversation with you. It's not going to have this awkward silence, and you're going to grow a better bond together when you start having that back and forth discussion to try to get them engaged with you, to ultimately try to make them say yes to whatever you want them to to do. Another thing that I also try to use, something called influence tie downs and embedded commands. So an influence tie down, it's kind of like a coach giving a pep talk, right before they go out to the big game. And then, one of the last things they say is, all right, are you guys with me? And I was like, yeah, some kind of little motivational thing to make that other person feel like you're part of a team and you guys are about to do something. And that might be even the last statement that puts them over the edge when you're like, so we're going to do this or what? Sure, yeah, let's do this. All right, sign here. I don't think that's ever happened to me, but it could happen. Embedded commands, it's more of like a subliminal thing. It's you're trying to tell them to do something without actually saying to do it. You're mainly asking them a question, but it's really meant to be like a statement to go along with what you're trying to do. So, are you definitely ready to sell your property? You're not really asking them the question. You're basically saying, "We're ready to sell. Come on, let's do this." So keep these things in mind. Next slide. All right, some more script techniques. Don't let the script be your enemy. Here's some really good things. Like I've said before, you got to practice. Even me, I'll be honest, I haven't prospect. How long has it been here? It's been a while. A week. Yeah, about a year. So I'm probably out of practice. If I go back to do it again, I'm going to be really rusty because I haven't looked at my stuff in quite some time, even though I have been doing it in theory for a handful of years. So practice is key to out loud, somebody else. Just got to keep doing it. Usually when I am prospecting, one good rule of thumb that I try to do is I never try to go past 3 sentences when I'm trying to convey something, either in person or over the phone. Sure, we all get those telemarketer calls all the time, and they say, "Hey, this is Joe from whatever," and they go on and on and on and on, and you're just waiting for a pause so that you can politely say, "I'm not interested." So as a rule of thumb for me, 2 sentences is great. Once you go past 3, you start losing them, and they start becoming disengaged with the conversation, and you just want to keep on having that back and forth talk, especially with those tie downs, like I mentioned before. Obviously, you want to sound very natural, not mechanical. I don't know how many telemarketers just sound so mechanical all the time. Sometimes I'll mess with them a little bit. I'm like, all right, you done reading that script? They're like fumbling through papers. Oh, well, so. They don't have an objection for that one. Absolutely. So you want to try to sound as natural as you can because it's just going to be a way to make that, solidify that bond a little bit more because you're going to sound genuine when you're actually talking to these people. Obviously, learn the right questions to ask. Every time I'm trying to prospect, whether in person or over the phone, I always have objectives in mind that I'm trying to establish. For example, one of those objectives is to try to find out their motivation because I use that motivation to try to entice them to get them to do what I want them to do. So one thing you have to have, whatever script you have, is that objective in mind. And these questions, they're going to get those objectives answered or your objectives done so that you can use those throughout your script. Obviously, learning how to listen. Learning how to listen, if you practice a lot, you're going to be able to listen more. The last thing you want to do is not be comfortable with your scripts and you start doing your thing. And then as you ask a question, you're fumbling, trying to think of what the next thing you're going to say. And while they're talking to you, now you're not engaged, you don't know what they're saying, or not concentrating on what they're saying so that you can play off of that easily. Instead, if you're not in practice, you're looking through your script, trying to see what the next thing is going to say. So that's why you really need to internalize these scripts. And just my recommendation, every script doesn't go as you see some scripts. They don't go line by line by line. They're very fluent. They jump all over the place based on the conversation. So for me, I don't really like what people would think is a traditional script, just all written out, because it never goes that way. What I like to do is have different objections. Just, some people have tried full boards and they have all their main objectives they get all the time. So if they want to refer to something, it's real quick, see it, they familiarize themselves with the statement, and they go with that objection. Because you want to take the time to be able to listen to what they're saying and in person to try to gather those nonverbals to feel out how that conversation is going.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Are we gonna get at some point here to some actual scripts to use for like at the beginning to really uncover what the opportunity is and what their motive, as you brought up, what their motivation is?
I don't actually have scripts, but what we will go over here towards the end, what Katie's gonna cover is various objections that we often hear and what we think are good objection statements to counter those things. Yes, ma'am.
I have some scripts that I can locate and give to you that I've received from other classes before in the past.
Mhm.
So if you want to see me after or remind me.
Okay, great.
The Ignite toolkit has
Yeah.
pages and pages.
I mean, you've been doing it for a long time. You're successful at it. There's gotta be just one or two kind of key things to get into the meat of it to find out, like, right? Or is it varied by?
Formalize the script.
Yeah, it depends on you really, because I've seen a lot of great people giving objection statements and doing scripts on like YouTube. And it works for them, but I don't feel comfortable sometimes saying exactly what they say. And therefore I'm like, even though that's a good thing, I feel cringy when I say that. So if you're not feeling comfortable with it, it just probably isn't for you then. So that's why it varies per person on what makes you feel comfortable. And then it's trial and error. You got to experiment with it to see if it actually works for you. So, and some of these scripts that Katie's talking about, some of them I like, some of them I don't like, some of them are too long for me, but there are definitely pieces here and there that I do like. And I'll mix and match and I'll make my own objective based on things that I've seen that I like.
And it's good to just read through the scripts and practice them, because then you'll become well versed in them. And you'll have that knowledge in your head. You'll have the ability to say something right off the top of your head because you know it.
Yeah.
And then once you have mastered them, then you can start to tweak them, make them sound more genuine, use that one, not use that one.
That's a really good point.
This last point right here has actually worked for me quite a bit. Sometimes people don't like getting phone calls at the house, and I could tell they're kind of turned off, they're a little grumpy or whatever. But when I try to repeat and reaffirm some of this, some things, like they tell me something, I say, oh, great, fantastic, or whatever. Like, for example, if they say, well, yeah, we're trying to sell, but we already bought a house, so we don't need any help buying a house. We just got to get rid of the one that we don't want anymore. I'm like, oh, great, fantastic. You just bought a new home. How's that going? And I find that people just love to talk about themselves. So if you just complimented some achievement that they did, they like to talk about that. And they're probably really happy about it, probably bragged about it on Facebook 100 times already. And they don't mind saying it one more time to a stranger that they don't know. So when I say, yeah, we bought it, blah, 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 we go look at it. And that just solidifies a bond a little bit better there, so that you can just get that good rapport going and ultimately, get them to say yes for whatever you're trying to get them to say yes to. All right, so there's lots of scripts out here. Some people, especially when I first came in the industry, I was like, okay, there's scripts when you make phone calls and that's it. But there's a lot more times where you actually need a script that I hadn't even thought about when I first started. Like, even when it comes to calling past clients, you wouldn't think that just calling your past client to say hi, you would need a script, but I highly recommend it, because the last thing that you want to do is say, hey, Sue, it's Ramon from Keller Williams. Hey, Ramon, hey. All right, yeah. So you always want, again, like I said, have an objective that you want to get out of that phone call, and then also have some talking points to refer to, so that that conversation isn't so stagnant and just awkward. So, whether it's, so how's the new house going? Did your parents ever come visit? You got to put something together there to make that conversation noteworthy, and then get into your objectives. Whether that objective is, do you have anybody moving to town that's looking to buy or anything like that? Or have you met anybody that's looking to rent or buy or sell? Then we start getting into that type of things. Door knocking. I'm sure Katie has great scripts for door knocking, because she's literally knocked thousands of doors. I'm not even kidding. Obviously, the ones that we always think about for sell by owners or expired phone calls. And also, internal to the scripts, there's always, you have to have internalized some objection statements that I talked about before. That's got to be littered all through these scripts. And Katie's going to talk about some of those objection handling statements that she likes to use and that are good to use. So go ahead.
So we'll start out with expires. They're great to prospect. Some of the objections you might get from them are, we're probably going to try and list again with our last agent. And you can say to them, well,
Do you want to ask them what they think is a good thing to say? Okay, never mind.
you would say to them, I understand that, Mr. or Miss Seller. However, if your last agent didn't sell your property when they had it listed, what makes you think this time they will get it sold? That usually stumps them. And then you can bring up to them that they owe it to their self to interview multiple agents and see which agent has the strongest marketing plan for them and that they're going to have the best relationship with. If you're calling for sale by owners, or if you've called somebody that their property has expired previously and they say, well, we're going to try and list it ourselves, you can highlight not only the power of the multiple listing service and what you can offer to them as an agent, highlight Keller Williams. And the great thing about the market that we're in now is you can almost use the market as a great objection handler because the market is on fire now. So you don't always want to use the market. You want to show your value along with the market as well.
Can I say something here, Katie? Something that really helps me out when I show my value, I actually got from Jen. Jen one time showed me this long checklist that she has that shows all the hours that she puts into every single thing that she does during the transaction. And from here on out, since she showed me that, I use that as showing my value. I show them exactly what I'm going to do and how long it takes and how I can, get that listing to ultimately sell for them. So thank you, Jen.
You're welcome. I'm
Yeah.
glad you're using that.
All the agents are filled with great resources and everybody's always happy to help everybody out. So feel free to come to one of us anytime. You get this next objection when you are calling expires or for sale by owners a lot because they're looking for all the reasons to say no to you. They don't want to deal with you. They don't want to deal with selling their property right now. So they may say that, well, I need to speak to my spouse before I make an appointment. Typical. This is going to be the script that you will always remember because it's so easy. You say to them, I certainly understand, but let me go ahead and pencil you in. Does tomorrow at 3 o'clock work or Friday at 1 p.m.? And you can say, I'll follow up with you later in the day or tomorrow to confirm or cancel.
Or sometimes you say, if I don't hear back from you, I'll just show up.
Call me to cancel after you speak with your husband.
Yeah. And they forget and you show up and you're already there.
They never, almost assume they will never call you back. So you have to be proactive and call them back and bother them essentially. If you stay in front of a person, they're gonna eventually get really tired of you and say, okay, or tell you to kick rocks. Jen.
I like to say, when somebody says, I say, well, my goal with making these calls today is to fill up my schedule for the next 3 days. So my next 3 days are going to be booked by the end of the day today. So can I just book you in for 3 or 5 tomorrow?
Perfect.
Because that shows that I have a plan
Yeah.
and goals.
Sometimes they feel sorry for you. They don't want you to, mess up your schedule. So, all right, just fill me in, sure.
Well, I think the whole goal with saying that is to show them that I'm busy
You're proactive.
and yep,
Yeah. Your schedule fills up
it
fast.
comes across as confident. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, I do kind of want this person.
Yeah. Did you have something, Jan?
Um,
Another objection is, oh, you are the 10th agents that called me today and they're almost gonna hang up.
That's it. That's what I would say.
Yeah,
That's all,
if
really?
this would load, can you hit the space bar? The clicker's not working. So, oh, so you could say to them, wow, I can see how that could be annoying, but let me just tell you in 2 minutes, 3 minutes of why you should hire me as your agent, or why you should have a 2-minute conversation with me.
Or like it says there, like, whoa, that's fine, you've been talking to 10 people, but I'm gonna be the best person you're having a conversation with. Go on from there. Highlight yourself. Look shiny.
Confidence, like Jen said. Another objection could be, we're going to wait until next year list or 6 months from now. And you want to say, great, what's important to you about 6 months from now or a year from now? You're trying to get their motivation so you can use their time frame and really spell it out for them of, all right, if this is what you want, then we should list at this time, or we should do this or do that. And you also, again, want to highlight the market. You want to know the market in that area. You want to know the stats. You could use days on market. You could use how many homes are selling a day, and express to them how hot of a seller's market it is. And we only know the market right now. Therefore, right now is the best time to sell. We don't know how it's going to be in a year.
And also selling the house is obviously a big move, a move that some people either don't know how to do or have never done before, and they don't know what their options or flexibility or different scenarios are. So you can act as a subject matter expert and say, well, let's talk about what your goal is and how to get you there. Maybe there's things that you haven't thought about yet that I can help you form a plan, problem solve, and we can get you there. So maybe they haven't been thinking about those things, and you can guide them through from all the experience that you've been dealing with other clients.
And paint the picture for them, because there's so much that we do for a seller. It's not just helping them sell their house, it's helping them before they list their house, helping them find maybe the next place that they're going to go, and just paint all of that out step by step so they see, oh wow, well there's your value, and gee, you're right, it makes sense, we do need to list next month instead of 6 months from now. What if they say, I'm on the no-call list? Whoops, I'm terribly sorry. I should not have dialed your number. I'll remove it immediately. Can I just ask you, do you know of anyone thinking of buying or selling? Throw something out there. Have you ever considered selling? Do you know how hot the market is? Go from there. Maybe they'll hang up on you, maybe not.
Maybe the reports you're making.
And then just don't call them again. So do you want to do a little script and role play?
Sure.
All right, would you like to be the agent, or do you want me to? Okay. We'll say that you have an expired listing.
Okay.
Ring, ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, is this the owner of 123 Main Street?
Why? What do you want?
Am I speaking with Ramon?
This is him. What's up?
Hi, Ramon. My name's Katie Smallwood. I'm with Keller Williams Realty. How are you today?
All right.
Great. I
Busy.
noticed. Okay, well, I will not take too much of your time, I promise.
Okay.
I noticed your home at 123 Main Street has come off the market. Did you sell it yourself?
I did not.
Okay, so it's off the market. Let me ask you, when you had it on the market, did you get any offers?
Yes, but they weren't good enough.
Okay, so they were low ball.
Yeah.
Okay. Where were you thinking of moving to next?
Up to Tampa.
Tampa. All right. What's in Tampa?
New job.
Awesome. And is there a start date of that job when you have to be there?
It's flexible. I can commute from here for now.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. If you could get what you were hoping to get out of it and sell it in today's hot sellers market, would you be open to that?
Well, yeah, but my last agent, tried,
Right?
you know,
So are you wanting to use them again?
maybe.
Okay, I respect that. Just curious, if they didn't sell your home the first time, what makes you think they'll sell it this time?
No, they seemed to try last time.
Well, I certainly understand that you have developed a relationship with them. However, you owe it to yourself to interview multiple agents and see whose marketing plan is the strongest, who can generate you multiple offers, get you the best price in the shortest amount of time.
Good point.
Would you be open to meeting with me tomorrow at 5 or Friday at 12?
I have to talk to my wife first. We have to give a call back later.
I understand that. Can I go ahead and pencil you in as my calendar is very full?
Okay, maybe.
All right, well, how about I pencil you in for tomorrow at 5? And I'll give you a call tomorrow morning to confirm it.
All right. You can listen.
All right, awesome. I look forward to meeting you tomorrow.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
What'd you think?
Smooth.
Yeah, she sounds very soothing, good voice, didn't panic when I was rude or grouchy, or
You're gonna get rude people.
she doesn't even have a script in front of her.
Yeah. So they work, and knowing multiple scripts is gonna help you out a lot because there's no telling what somebody's gonna throw at you. And you gotta be prepared and not act like you're shooken up.
Sometimes when I get a new objection, I'll write it down and I'll go run it by people like, hey, what do you say to something like this? Or sometimes if I don't have an objection, I just sympathize with like, oh, I totally see what you're saying, and I just ignore it and just go on to the next statement that I want to use. And just bypass it, forget it didn't happen.
Buyers, when they're looking at homes for sale by owners, expires, they're all looking for reasons to say no. And you've got to get those scripts down to give them one reason to say, yes, I'll meet you face to face. So some buyer objections. We don't want to pay list price, or we don't want to pay over list price. And in this market, that's not going to work. And you don't want to just tell them that. You want to have your market stats laid out for you. So if you're showing in Northport, you want to know in that area of Northport, how many homes have sold in the last 30 days, maybe 90 days, how many are currently pending, how many are currently active, average days on the market, and then key is what's the list price to sell price ratio? Are they selling for 1.02% or what? And you could print those stats out so you can show the buyer specifically, well, in this area of Northport, average list price is $386 and they're actually selling on average for $395. So Mr. Buyer, if you want to offer 5,000 under list, the reality is we are probably going to go up against multiple offers. And the reality is you're probably not going to get the bid because, as you can see, homes are selling for 5,000 over list.
And you always want objection statements for the different types of market as well. Like obviously we're in this crazy market right now that we haven't seen for a bit. So you have to have certain types of what she talked about, objections and points to make. But if we're not, we're in a market like we were 3-4 years ago, and you have another set of objections and you tell them what those current market standings are and if it's even feasible.
Right. So like he said, the market changes, scripts change, everything changes. So you can't just learn scripts now and use them for 5 years on out, because the market's gonna change and it may not be relevant. Jen?
I just want to point out too, if your buyer's financing, they may not be aware that increasing their offer by as little as $3,000 to $5,000 is really not going to affect their payments. It's
Yeah.
going to be, like $1 or maybe a couple dollars at the most. per
Right.
month.
Right.
Every
And,
every time I point that out, they're like, oh, I never thought about that.
yeah, and that's being well versed in the market, having knowledge, going through previous transactions. What happens if you're working with a buyer and they say to you, I've never paid full list price for anything, or I don't plan on paying over list price. What's gonna happen if you don't discuss the market with them and the ups and the downs is you're gonna end up showing, 5 homes, writing 10 offers, all to get decline. So it ends up wasting your time and the buyer's time, and the buyer's gonna be frustrated because they've seen 5 houses and you've written 10 offers, whereas if you would have told them up front, this is the market, and it may or may not be the right time for you because of this. So that's when you may have to tell them, this may not be the market for you to buy it. We may want to wait until it cools down, and explain to them again why. Working with buyers that say to you, oh yeah, we got the cash. Let's say they call you and they say, hey, I just saw your sign at 123 Main Street. We want to go look at the house. You don't say, great, can I meet you today at 2:00? You could use that appointment if you wanted to get those questions answered, but most likely they're going to be just concerned about looking at the house. Is it right or is it wrong for them to see you? So you want to make sure that they're pre-approved, or that you can have a blacked out bank statement where you can see their proof of funds if they're cash. And you just want to explain to them the importance of not only getting pre-approved, but having that pre-approval letter so you can make the offer on the property that you want at the right time. Because in this market, and even the market 2 years ago, you could say that no seller is going to consider your offer without pre-approval or proof of funds. With the pre-approval, you can say, it's a great idea because I see you want to look between 3 and 350. If you get pre-approved, we will know exactly how much you can afford. Therefore, if we want to push your budget a little up, we know that you're still going to be able to afford it and you're comfortable with the monthly payment, so on and so forth. We want to discuss, and we'll get back with you tomorrow. So you can use the market again, and you can say to them, I certainly understand that.
So putting in for an offer.
Yeah. However, we know that this market is rapidly moving. We know there may be multiple offers. How about I go ahead and draft the offer up tonight and have you sign it? If you change your mind in the morning, I won't submit it. That way you're going ahead and getting pen to paper, just in case. Always would rather submit it and get everything in writing than.
Can I ask a practical application here?
Yeah.
About the first one, I'm new. So how do you know when the offer should be at list price? I mean, you look at how the market is, like right now in Venice, it's my area, it's like, I think it was 103% list of sale.
Yeah.
Probably sale list. So how do you know exactly on a certain house whether, if there's, how do you determine that?
In this market, what I tell
Yeah.
my buyers is, in this market, we can anticipate multiple offers. And again, you could say, here's the stats of Venice, here's the list price to sell price. If you want this property, you need to offer above list price. You just gotta lay it out.
And just based on
I think he's asking, like, what if they're way overpriced? Or
And
you
yeah,
should have an
Well,
idea
no,
of the
More
value.
about how much over, I mean, you just say you should, your recommendation is to at least offer less, but they ask like, how much over?
what I use, especially if we're spot on, like we're in a rush, we've got to submit this offer ASAP. Let's say I don't have time to just run comps really quick and go through it with them. I'll say to them, make the highest offer that you're comfortable with, that you won't kick yourself for later for not going 5,000 over. Because in this market, your initial offer is your pretty much best and only shot. Sellers are not negotiating now. They've got multiple offers to pick from, and we'll be lucky if they come back to us and say, would you do this? Does that help?
Yep.
Can you reduce your commission? That is the most common one that we always get. And again, you want to show your value in a listing presentation. And commission is usually one of the last things that you discuss. But you definitely want to get the opportunity to go through your marketing plan and really spell out what you do so they can see, oh, wow, you know, you do really have a lot to offer.
And sometimes they'll try to bring up commission on the phone. And I'm not a fan of discussing over the phone because I want to make that face-to-face contact first. So I said, we could definitely talk about that when I show up, but let's make that appointment so we can have that discussion. And once you're there, then you start bringing up.
And there's endless ways that you can give to why you're not going to negotiate your commission. You could say to the seller, what's more important to you, the amount of commission you pay or the amount of money you net, or how much over list price I'm going to get you. Sellers also, when you're on listing appointments, if you've gone through the CMA and you give them a market value range, they may say, well, we want more money for our home. Multiple ways, again, you can overcome that objection. You can talk with them about appraisals, and even though in this market we are dealing with a lot of cash buyers, working for sellers, I try and get the buyers that put in offers to waive that appraisal, so their offer looks a lot more enticing to the seller. But you can talk with them and say, if it doesn't appraise, then you're going to have to come down off your list price to appraise value. And you go through your CMA with them, where you're showing them the comparables that you have, pointing out the details of what this comp has over their house or vice versa, and really just laying it all out, describing the CMA. We look at price per square foot, we look at year bill, we look at amenities, upgrades, things of that nature. Isn't it better to list with the top selling agent in the area? I can't tell you, I've probably lost 5 listings to Carla Stiver, and she's Remax, she's one of the top selling agents, and her team is massive. She has at least 6 to 8 people. So her numbers are always gonna dominate even smaller teams, individual agents, because all of the numbers are being run through her. So you want to highlight the positives about what you as a single agent can accomplish, that working with a large team, you risk getting passed off to someone else on the team, to an assistant or to a buyer's agent or something like that. Whereas as a single agent, you're dealing with me directly all the time. So you don't have to be concerned about, dealing with multiple people or not getting that high level of service.
And one of the things to consider when you're comparing yourself to a mega, I think, is that obviously you don't want to badmouth anybody, right? So one of the things that I always say is like, look, here's the deal. Whether you list with this mega agent or little old me, one thing's probably gonna happen for sure. You're gonna sell your house and you're gonna get the money you want. However, what kind of experience do you want? You want to deal with an agent that is just me, direct to my phone, you can contact me anytime, or do you want to get in contact with, you know, the ninth person on someone's team and they pass your information, then now various people have different pieces of continuity with each other. Or do you want to just be me only? So there's all kinds of things, and vice versa. Megas have objections on why it's better to deal with them than single agents. So everyone's got their objections. They go back and forth, and yeah, truth is somewhere in the middle, probably.
Yeah, look at your values compared to, you know, a large team. There's values to be had. We want an agent with more experience. So as a new agent, or even someone who hasn't been in the business long, you don't have that many sales, Keller Williams comes out with powerful numbers that we can always use when meeting with the seller, and you just rely on those numbers, really highlight our company, that you work with over 100 agents and we work like a team. We have over, you know, 20 some years of experience. We sell this many homes a year, and we sell, you know, this many in Rotunda. So actually, compared to other leading agents, we sell more homes than these other top agents in this area.
When I first started, somebody told me one time, no one's ever going to ask you how long you've been an agent. And the very first person that I actually got a listing from, that was their first question. Like, how long have you been doing this? How many houses have you sold? I'm like, I was like, well, look, none. However, you're my only client. I'm a hard worker. I work directly with not only my productivity coach, but you know, I have the power of Keller Williams behind me. You know, I'm going to work hard for you. If you're my only client, and I sold them that way, and that's how I got my very first listing, because like, you know what, that sounds good. I like that I'm your only person. That's good. So it was the type of experience that they were looking for and fit their needs at the time. So.
And the great thing about Keller Williams and us being like a big team is, if you get your first listing and you're scared to go on the appointment, you can always pull a strong agent to come on the appointment with you. Not only will that help you to get the listing, it'll help you see as well, all right, you know, this is how I win a seller, this is how I should do the listing presentation. Good practice. Questions, concerns, anything we didn't cover that you would like us to talk about?
Do you wanna know what I got the most out of it?
Yeah.
What I love, and I've had my own scripts and sayings for many, many years. I love the objection. Well, I'm just curious, what's more important to you? Is it the commission that you pay or the amount of money that you get in closing? I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Good.
I always tell everybody, well, there's only gonna be one Fannie for your seat. I have a very expensive marketing plan. I don't like to cut anything out. I like to treat all of my listings and give them the maximum exposure. So when I come over, I'm gonna go over that marketing plan with you. If you really insist that I reduce my commission, then you're gonna have to choose what type of marketing I'm canceling.
I've seen that as well. Some people use that as well. Yeah, they almost have a menu.
Yeah.
And they show you, well, this is what you get for 2%. Here's what you get for 3%, and the 2%.
Not necessarily like that, but they see the fact that there's only gonna be one buyer. We gotta find that person. So why would you wanna cut anything out?
Right.
All right, thank you guys so much.
Bye, Jen. Any other questions?
Can
Yes.
you just go back to that last slide? I missed what was on the bottom. Oh, consider bringing another agent. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so at that time, when somebody asked me like, well, this is your only listing you've ever had, I mean, I was like, but I have my productivity coach. When you get me, you get her of 13 years of experience, and she's gonna be with me every step of the way. I promise you that. You know, she was, she's my productivity coach, and she helped me, and yeah, didn't sell that house, but.
Well, you kept your first year.
Yeah.
I did.
Yes, you did.
Any other questions? right, well, thank you for coming to our class. Hopefully you got a little something out of it.
Definitely. It's very helpful. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I will say that actually, the role play in agents is extremely important.
Yes.
If you don't practice every day, I practice with my team. We have scripts for phone calls that comes to the office. It's now it's automatic. It's like, hey, I'm assuming that you're calling to our office because you're not working with any agent, right? You know, it's practice, practice, practice.
Yeah,
When you
absolutely.
don't have a team or a product to be a coach.
You try to
Practice.
partner with somebody
Yeah.
that has the same enthusiasm that you to learn how to treat people that can work with you in practicing and partner and practice. You really need to practice the script because they really look
always
stupid.
Yeah.
They really look bad until you make them yourself.
And I
Because they
think,
feel artificial.
Yes.
Yeah.
But once you start in the repetition all the time, it will come in your words and you're going to change it in your mind and you will, right now, the script that we used to do for 3 weeks, I can tell you, I answer the phone and I will say everything like I practiced for those 3 weeks. And the Faith and Ashley. And they will get me all the information before I get the phone call.
It's all good.
Which is practice, practice, practice. And if an assistant and a marketing person can get it, it's because we were practicing every single day. Exactly the same thing. And Leslie is harsh on it. Because she will say to us things that, of course, she did 16 years. She will say things that, how you're going to manage that.
But well, that's the other thing, right, about scripts and practicing scripts. You don't know what the other person might say, right?
Right.
So they might say in the script, oh, this is what they're gonna say, but like you said, they said they would never ask you that question, and then they did, right? So you never know.
right, yeah. And that's why you have to have an answer for everything. And it's something that you encounter that you've never encountered before. Take that aside, write it down. Like, what is the best objection for this, right? For the objection statement, for this objection they're giving me. And I figured out, I asked people, what do you say if someone tells you this? And,
It must be like the majority of objections are just a handful of them. And then there's all the different, other ones that are, onesie twosies here and there, like the one that you would never get.
yeah, it happens. And like I told you before, sometimes what I'll do is I just ignore it and just go on to the next thing that you want to talk about, and hopefully they just forget about what they just said. Because
maybe
what
it's
are you gonna do?
Or it's not the right fit, then you move on.
Maybe.
leave. I mean,
Yeah.
It doesn't, can't convince everybody. You
Yeah.
uncover the opportunities there.
I mean, sometimes they'll be like, well, I'm gonna listen to my friend. I know them really well. That sounds great, but let me tell you what I could do. What else are you gonna say? I mean, sometimes it's not good working with friends. It get into turmoil. We're like, well, it gets into turmoil if I don't listen with them. All right, well, let me just talk about my plan. You just
So that's what I've gotten the most of, because like I'm talking to people that I know, right? And so they're like, well, I'm gonna go with this person probably who was referred to me by my finance guy, or no, I already used somebody before, and they sold
Right.
my last house and they're really good, or
Yeah.
or I wanna sell my own house, and I guess I'm also not really,
and that's fine. I mean,
I'm not really a pusher.
you gotta be, and you have to be pushy. And here's why it's easy for me to be pushy, because I don't know them. I'm never gonna talk to them again potentially. So I don't care how pushy I am. And at the very end, if you sound like you're real pushy and aggressive, like, look, obviously I'm an aggressive person. Is that not a type of person you want working for you when you sell this house? I mean, sometimes that's even a good objection statement.
So most of your leads that you're talking about are coming through, you don't know them, right? These are expired listings.
For me, when I was prospecting, I specialized in FISBOs.
Yeah, so what she's talking about is your network. So these people are on your contact list, right? And some of them are even your circle of influence.
Yeah.
And everybody's already got somebody. So how do you become the one who's
Sometimes it's a matter of, don't you know, like Katie said, don't you owe it to yourself to get multiple interviews, just to see what your options are and see what each person can deliver to you?
Yeah.
Like, what's the harm of, let's just meet? I'll come by tomorrow, let's do this.
And the scripts, there's scripts for friends, there's script for Facebook, there's script for family, there's script for all that kind of people, and everybody has a freaking excuse.
That's
these
right.
days.
Whole lot of issues.
Oh, yeah,
A lot of things.
you just have to know.
You have to
good answers to all of
internalize
them.
the script and internalize your responses to their objections.
Yeah.
And then you'll be well along your way. Internalize, memorize, internalize.
When I first started, I said I specialize in FSBOs and Expires because that's what my coach used to give me, those phone numbers. And in my first year, I got 5 listings just from phone calls from the onesie twosies my coach gave me when I first started Ignite. And the reason why I felt real confident and why I got those appointments and ultimately those listings, and ultimately sales, is because before I started real estate, I would go on YouTube, and I kid you not, I listened to hundreds and hundreds of hours of live prospecting from people on YouTube. And I saw what worked for them. I saw what wasn't too cringy for me to use. And I just write those things down. I think that's a good line. And I developed my script based off of hundreds of hours on YouTube. If you just go live prospecting for sell by owner, you're gonna get all these videos. While I'm working out, while I'm traveling in the car, I listened and listened and listened. And some of them are just terrible. But at least it shows you.
You know what not to do.
Yeah, and sometimes it shows you the grind, because sometimes I listen to an hour of prospecting, they get 0 appointments. But at least I saw what that process feels like. And I know the reality of it. And the day one, when I got my first phone number, I felt so ready because of those hundreds and hundreds of hours that I listened to. That's what got me ready for it. Obviously,
But
practice.
you were listening to transcripts of actual calls.
Actual calls that people record of
Not trainings.
themselves.
This was just calls.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Nothing scenario wise, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a guy named Colton Lindsay. He posts a lot of his raw phone calls that I listen to quite extensively. He's really good. He was Colton Lindsay, and then also David Lipsy.
Good stuff.
Mike Ferry, yeah, that's another one, yeah.
Mike Ferry, if you look at Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, look for, they'll have scripts too, which are identical to KW.
Right, yeah. And I mean, there's some things that I used to use that now when I say them, they sound real cringy to me. Like sometimes people like, what was this line I used to use? For sell by owner, I was like, hey, well, I see you're trying to, sell on your own. Why wouldn't you listen with a professional real estate agent like myself? Do you not like real estate agents, or what's going on? Sometimes I get a chuckle, but it sounded too fake to me sometimes because then.
No, you know what that is?
Yeah.
I used to use that all the time.
Yeah.
And you call it up and they say, well, we're doing this, that, or the other. And you say, well, when are you going to be ready to use a real powerful agent like myself? They don't.
That's
I
another,
say, who are you supposed?
that's another one, yeah. And then when they say, no, it's not that, I don't like, they laugh. And I open up that conversation. Like, it's not that we don't like agents, it's just that we don't want to pay the commission. Like, oh, so it's about the money. Well, yeah. Well, let me tell you something. If I could find a way that I can get paid, you can get what you want, isn't that a route that you might want to pursue or want to talk about that? Yeah, I guess. Yeah. And then, we go from there. So,
But too late.
yeah, we're.
But they got to review.
But yeah, I think now that I say it again, man, it sounds kind of good. I might incorporate that again. If I start to prospect it again,
It's back in style.
yeah. It's like go bombs, you bring it back,
Thank you very much for really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. But I think the first step for sure is just to put your thoughts out on paper. Like start off with, FSBO calls and write all the objections you can think of and see what you think will work for you. So when you make these calls, you have them already there and ready to go. try to internalize them as much as you can. And the more you just do it, even if you're not ready to make a call, you just do it. The first time I ever went on a listing appointment, I knew I wasn't gonna get the appointment or the listing because he was way overpriced. But my coach, and I didn't know how to write a contract, but my coach said, just go do it and see what happens. And I'm glad I did it because I went through the motion of it. I felt what it felt like to go through it and what may come up. And it made me comfortable for that very next one that was the, like, for real, I had a real good chance at. So just go through the motions. If it doesn't work out, what's gonna happen?
Cool. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Here.
I want you to see the genesis of this site. This is the site.
Huh?
That's the one that- but then, that came up to just 70.
And
So when you go to that website, take it just to the homepage. But the statistics from this, they'll tell you every we got, every munition we got, and why their projection. That's what our population increase.
well, I guess time will tell, huh?
50 to 80%.
Strong point.
And then they got so much flack because of that.
Yeah.
Projection. It's like, where's it coming from? And then the next thing I heard, they dropped, it went from 69 million down to 65 million. Because this was all pre-COVID.
Right.
Anyway. If you want laughs and giggles.
Yeah, Deagle.
DEA. How things going, man? I know kids are growing quick.
Yeah, man,
You
yeah.
raise them all by yourself?
I co-parent with my ex-wife. She's
She's local?
yeah, she's local, so she has them half the time. I have them half the time.
Oh, that's. They're as old as my grandkids. Right where you're at.
Yeah. Oh man, it is so fun right now. I mean, it is. I'm having such a
What are they
blast.
doing in school? Are they all right with masks and all that crap? Are they doing stuff like that?
My son wears but they don't have to.
We don't got it.
But he says when he gets in crowds, he just likes to wear it. So whatever you
Whatever
want, man.
feels good about.
Yeah.
My daughters homeschool these kids.
Yeah.
Or 3 of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we got sports they're starting up here in a couple weeks, so that's going to be fun. We got soccer for both of them, and then my son's going to try out for his middle school cross country team.
Oh, yeah? You know,
He is, yeah. We're going to run today, a couple miles. Yeah. He's already faster than me at 2 miles and above. Yeah, he's faster than me for sure. But
how many times you go run?
I'm getting old. I probably run 3 times a week.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
I gotta take this.
Yeah. I gotta take it easy because I've had hip surgery and I've had ankle surgery before, so
What kind of hip surgery?
I had a torn labrum in my hip socket. So they had so
The muscle.
inside the socket, there's a ligament that just lines the whole socket,
Right.
and that tore. So they had to go pull it apart and go repair that tear, attach it back to the bone because it was like kind of off it. So they had to attach it back. So it's all flushed. But, yeah.
I was in my office at home.
What's up, Barb?
How you been?
Oh my God,
Good to see you.
So what have you guys been up to, you gentlemen?
Well, I'm just here.
I just showed up one time in here and they're like, you want to teach a class? I'm like, okay, I guess. I just came to say hi, but I guess
Was Katie with you?
she was co-teaching with me, yeah.
So what are you guys up to? I'm here to
I'm
talk to
trying
Danielle.
Trying to get my head back in the game, so I slowly withdraw. I don't know.
Yeah. You've been doing well, soon. I saw you like on the top 3 on
Yeah.
something.
I had a whole shit.
Yeah.
No, I got nothing. Yeah, I got 2 people that I've sold houses to like 5 years ago sold, which is
Nice.
wonderful.
then they referred me, and then I got one off the sign, another listing that I had. So it's nuts. It's like, I don't wanna eat this. My sister goes, take it when you can.
Right,
And
cause
now I'm like,
yeah.
I got buyers and that's like, they don't wanna buy nothing. So everybody's
Yeah.
waiting.
Yeah.
Wait for some stuff.
If it's hard working from home, remote your home too, right? I never go, I've been paying on that office.
I
I've
haven't done,
never ever been able to work at home.
yeah,
That's the problem.
Oh, I
I'll
live
just
alone,
chill out.
so for me, it's easy. So.
See, if I'm not in an office setting.
Well, I used to be that way, now I get used to it.
like I was telling these guys, it's been over a year since I've prospected. I've been lazy.
You're really good at it.
When I do it, yeah. I don't know, maybe I'll get into it after Christmas.
So how's Carl?
It's good. I play golf with them probably every other week. I play golf with them.
Just tell Mike was asking for him.
Yeah. He's been really, he's really busy. He's been,
Is he doing real estate?
no, he's been doing the machining work.
Oh,
And it
yeah,
makes those
yeah,
metal
yeah,
components.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's been getting so many orders. He said he used to make about like, 15, 20,000 a year with that. And he said that was comfortable. But now all the orders that are coming in, he's set to make about 40 something thousand a year now, but he doesn't want to be that busy, but
Take it what you can. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I know.
like he doesn't have kids, he doesn't have a wife.
Yeah.
Just has some fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how your boy, kids?
Good. My son just started middle school, so
Right?
that's exciting. And
What's your daughter? Good?
she's doing great. Yeah. Just third grade, so
How do you like the house?
awesome. They love the house. I had my first birthday party with Isaac just last month with him. It was fun. So man, building memories. And having a good time.
Y'all can send them flowers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gorgeous house. Gorgeous house. So, had it built now, it's slab.
Yeah, I had to secure the loan, and once I got that, like, oh, good, I don't have to prove an income anywhere.
So,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
it's still good. I don't see anybody in here anymore.
I know, yeah. Today was like the most busy I've ever seen it.
Wow. Harry, I haven't seen you in ages.
I realized that I was on floor, and then I saw your thing for, you have this meeting, and I said, come on.
You might go in and sit there?
I did.
Oh,
No, you know what it is, Lynn.
I'm going to, because they said that people are gonna start doing it, so.
Yeah.
Lynn called me up and told me that I could, why don't you go ahead and call on in? Because I'd asked about it.
Yeah.
Because, I just need something to get my head off.
Yeah.
So
So
Maybe
I'm gonna come in.
You're gonna come in?
Yeah,
now?
mine's this week sometime.
Mine was yesterday.
I come in all the time to see, what's this live prospect going on? I had never seen anybody.
And sometimes people will walk in and somebody told me in the past, they just like, oh, is everybody here? And then,
I've done that myself.
so
The first time I came to this office, I was here for about a half hour trying to figure out.
Well, Harry, I saw your name on the list forever. Like when I used to call you about Thanksgiving, you're like, who's that? I was like, oh my God, what is this Harry guy?
Well, yeah, I
Finally.
remember I don't know if y'all know, but I mean, I just went through the partnership incident.
because you struck out, right?
Died 5 times.
Because you struck out at softball.
No, I was banging.
Oh, okay.
But wasn't
I
that
was banging
recent,
into
Harry,
the-
but wasn't that recently? That you
Yeah, that
had
was
the-
December 15th of 19, I fell out, died 5 times. And so then I came back,
that wonderful?
well, I came back in March, I came to the sales meeting, Lisa was still here. And a regular full meeting in the school, I was just shrunk down enough to nothing fit, I was feeling weird. I didn't feel, it was the first time I was out in public. So that was cool, I just wanted to see what the office was like, I didn't want to come in there as late as I did, because the place was packed, and I was like sitting in the corner. So then I came in for floor duty,
I gotta pick up
like the
my
next day. And when I came
You
in,
going?
Yeah, I gotta pick up,
Why don't we get together?
okay,
well, anyway, like
Literally,
like-
lunch or something, or
sounds good. Wait,
the next day,
phone number?
The next day after that, after I came in for floor duty, the next day the office closed. And then so I went back into my recliner, because I've been laid up for like 3 years with bad hip. And then in the midst of the hip getting fixed, all of a sudden I had a heart issue. So anyway, that put me right back in the stupid recliner. Then all of a sudden, my wife's not working. And now all of a sudden we ain't got no money coming in at all. And that's like, oh my God. And I had just got paid for the first time in a while. I got paid on the 21st of November. I died on the 15th of December. I hadn't even touched the check. I hadn't cashed.
Thank God you're still here.
Oh my
Honest
God.
to God.
I just went to my sleep guy. Here's another thing I want you to know. This
Who's
is
your
a big-
sleep guy, Michael?
No, he is. As a matter of fact. He is. But, no, my sleep doctor that I go to is I'm on a CPAP machine. I've got to the point where I just can't sleep anymore. I mean, my machine says that I get like 4 or 5 hours that I'm on the machine. That doesn't mean that I'm asleep. I finally got this guy to give me something. And I found 5 nights in a row now I slept. Or at least the machine shows I slept.
Oh,
More
I
than 5
don't have
hours.
that problem. So.
I've
I
seen
mean,
some people.
I'm having trouble time because I can't get my head together during the day because I don't get any sleep. So this is the most awake I've been. Like if I came in here at 1 o'clock, I'd be falling out trying to get home.
Yeah.
Because I'm asleep. So, along with the heart thing, got a bunch of other contractors. Gonna be 65 coming up in about 1 month.
Yeah, so. You're here now, right? What's my husband? He was 65.
Yeah, heart attack.
No, we ended up having bowel obstruction. He was gone.
Irritable bowel or something?
No,
like
wow, no, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, had this big surgery, he didn't die from that. And then he ended up, his stomach, within 2 months, his stomach, I got home from work, his stomach was out to here, and it's 150 pounds from 200. And I took him to the emergency room, there was a intestinal blockage. And if they can't operate, you're done. He was done.
No,
That was it.
I got out of the hospital, they let me out on Christmas Eve. December 19th, I went in, Christmas Eve, they let me out. I told them I wasn't ready to go home, there ain't gonna be, like, my wife ain't gonna be able to take care of me at home, I'll try to tell them that. They sent me, I was supposed to have a nurse there that night, didn't show up. Supposed to be a nurse there the next day, didn't show up. Eventually, later in the day, somebody came, had to do my medications home. 8 days I went without my main medication that I was
What
needed
hospital
to
did
take.
you go? Did you go to
went to
Venice?
Venice. But this was after the hospital. They turned around 8 days in a row. I didn't get a water filter. 8 days in a row. So then when I had my first x-ray to check on whether the sutures and all, everything's sealed up or whatever, the next day they want me, instead of going, my doctor wanted me to go to the hospital because they gotta drain me out because I got fluid in my lungs. So I go to the hospital, they drain me out. I'm thinking there's gonna be a little bit of juice coming out. Lady held up this bottle, 900
Yeah, that was
cc
my husband.
of fluid that I was getting ready to die.
Yeah.
Again, from this crazy, I had somebody, when I had the hip done, I had somebody there every single day. I mean, it sent me home for the.
Yeah,
with
Venice
this.
Hospital is not a place I go.
Well, it's not, that's what I was freaking out about too. But, they did a great job. They did a fantastic job. It wasn't the hospital, it was the post-care
Yeah.
when you're at
I'm
home.
glad you're okay.
Hey, man,
Was it
no,
your son?
nothing could be more demoralizing than having a wife have to take care of things.
That's part of being married. You
Deal
love
with that.
somebody, that's what you do, right? You do. You do it.
What?
But you do it.
I remember that day that my buddies came over to see me when I was conscious after the incident. I couldn't figure out what the hell I was doing. I was wide awake, I was fine, and I had no clue what in the world happened. And then all of a sudden they start telling me these stories about you were blue, and then the next thing you know, the 3 surgeons walk in.
So
Great
so
news.
literally you died?
5 times.
Did you see anything? You did.
I was in the ambulance. And they hit me. And I saw a raging bull, balled up fist, ready to pop, cussing. But I was looking from a different perspective.
Oh, you were looking down.
I was, next thing you know, I was out again. Then I told my wife, I said, "No, we got mirrors in the ceiling and elevators." So when we went in there to get that checkup done, first thing I did was I looked up at the ceiling.
That's scary.
There ain't no mirrors up in here. So I was in the hospital bed. I could see myself.
That's scary. I gotta go meet Danielle. All right.
All right.
Do you have my phone number?
Yeah, just text
Okay. Okay.
Well, it's a pleasure seeing you guys.
Yeah, how are you too?
Stay safe.
So whenever.
you. Yeah, I don't do much every day. I just stay in the house. I don't know.
I miss you. I thought about you the other day. I had